Can you give us an update on the status of the trial at hand?
Today we've had the defence case for being allowed to appeal. They've had to apply to be allowed to appeal, and they've set out the grounds on freedom of speech grounds. They set out that WikiLeaks had exposed important crimes of the American states, and that's a protected speech under the European Convention on Human Rights. They set out that the system Julian would be exposed to in the States is not fair. He wouldn't go to fair trial, and there's no saying what's going to happen to him, even up to and including the death penalty. So they made a very strong case today, and for the first time ever in all these years of hearings, I had the impression that the judges were actually listening. I didn't have the impression of hostility that normally radiates from the bench in Assange trials. These judges did actually seem to be listening to what was being said. And my impression is they're not going to rush to a verdict. They're going to, tomorrow they'll hear the United States case, and they're going to, I believe, take their time, study all the papers, and come to a reasoned conclusion. I felt less obvious hostility and injustice than I normally do. I don't want to get too hopeful, because obviously our hopes have been dashed so often, but it felt more like a genuine court of law and less like a kangaroo court than I've experienced before.
So do you think the pressure that people have been putting on the courts and on politicians and eventually dragging a few MPs out and political parties has had an effect?
I think it's definitely had an effect. I think the media pressure, the pressure from the Australian government, the effect from different politicians and from the public, has at the very least caused the courts to look like they are independent. Whether that will have any effect on the actual judgment, we wait to see. But I've got no doubt at all that the pressure people have been putting, all the campaigning, all the effort, has caused a change in the way the courts are approaching this.
And if Julian is released, what do you think the change will be in this country?
Well, I think that will be, if Julian's released, it will be a massive victory for freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and a massive encouragement to whistleblowers to tell us what governments are really up to, which is something that democracy very badly needs.
I'm here today because I find this to be an important case for every one of us, and I want him to be free as a human being that has done nothing but telling us the truth. And if Julian is not there, we need more of like Julian to tell us what governments are doing in our world.